The massive alien fleet moved through space like a dark cloud. 10,000 warships stretched across the void, each one bigger than a city block. Their hulls gleamed with silver metal that seemed to drink in the starlight. These were the ships of the Zephyrian Armada, the most feared military force in the galaxy. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. The bridge was enormous, with crystal walls that showed the stars outside. Dozens of alien crew. Members worked at glowing control panels. Their blue skin and tall, thin bodies moved with quick precision. They had conquered 847 worlds in the last 300 years. Not once had they faced real resistance. "Sir, we are entering the target system," announced Lieutenant Zexhai from her station. Her voice carried the same confidence that filled every Zephyrian warrior. "Initial scans show a single inhabited planet. The locals call it Earth." Kethvar walked to the main viewing screen. The yellow star ahead looked ordinary. Nothing special about this system at all. "What do we know about these humans?" "Primitive. Species, sir. They have barely learned to travel between stars. Our scouts report simple metal ships and basic energy weapons. Population of about 8 billion. They should surrender within hours of our arrival." The Admiral nodded. It was always the same. Primitive species saw their mighty fleet and gave up immediately. The smart ones surrendered and became slaves. The foolish ones fought and died quickly. Either way, the galactic hegemony grew stronger. "Any defensive fleets detected?" "Yes, sir, but laughably small, about 300 ships total. They appear to be made from welded metal scraps. Our sensors can barely detect their power sources. It seems they still use chemical rockets for basic movement." Laughter rippled through the bridge crew. Chemical rockets! The Zephyrians had abandoned such crude technology thousands of years ago. Their ships used antimatter cores that could power entire planets. These humans were like children playing with sticks while adults carried energy weapons. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the planet," announced the communications officer. "Already? They must be eager to surrender. Put it on the main screen." The image that appeared showed a human male in a simple blue uniform. He had brown hair and serious dark eyes. Behind him was a room filled with screens and busy humans. The quality of the transmission was poor, using ancient radio waves instead of quantum communication. "Unknown fleet, this is Admiral Sarah Chan of Terra Defense Command. You are approaching a protected system. Turn back now. This is your only warning." The bridge fell silent for a moment. Then Kethvar began to laugh. His laughter grew louder and deeper until it echoed through the massive bridge. Soon his entire crew was laughing with him. The sound was cruel and mocking. "Did this primitive just threaten us?" Kethvar asked between laughs. "A species that still uses radio waves is giving warnings to the Zephyrian Armada?" He stepped forward toward the screen. "Human, I am Admiral Kethvar of the Galactic Hegemony. You will surrender immediately, or we will destroy your pathetic world. You have 1 hour to respond with complete submission." The human woman's face showed no fear. Her voice remained calm and steady. "Warning acknowledged and rejected. Consequences accepted. Terra Defense Command out." The transmission ended. The bridge crew looked at each other in surprise. Most species begged for mercy by now. Some tried to negotiate. A few brave ones made speeches about freedom and honor, but none had ever dismissed the Zephyrian Armada with such casual indifference. "Sir, should we begin the standard bombardment protocol?" asked the weapons officer. Kethvar considered this. Usually they would destroy a few cities from orbit to show their power, but something about the human's attitude bothered him. She had acted like she held the stronger position. That was impossible, but it was strange. "No. Send the vanguard first. Let them see our ships up close before we crush their spirit completely. Sometimes the primitive ones need a demonstration." Orders went out across the fleet. 500 ships broke away from the main formation. These were smaller vessels, but each one carried enough firepower to level a continent. They moved toward Earth's orbital space where the human fleet waited. As the Vanguard approached, more detailed scans of the human ships came in. The reports made the Zephyrians laugh even harder. The human vessels looked like they had been built in scrap yards. Mismatched hull sections were welded together with visible seams. Some ships appeared to be converted cargo haulers or mining vessels. Their weapons were simple projectile launchers and primitive missile systems. "Sir, I am reading some unusual energy signatures from the human vessels," reported the science officer. "Their power sources are strange, not antimatter, not fusion, something different." "Different how?" "I cannot identify the technology, sir, but the energy output is much higher than expected from such crude-looking ships." Kethavar waved his hand dismissively. "Probably some dangerous and unstable experiment. Primitives often play with forces they do not understand. It will make no difference against our shields and armor." The Vanguard reached the edge of Earth's system. The human fleet moved to intercept them. 300 ships against 500. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, and completely out of their league. This would be over quickly. "Sir, the human admiral is requesting a final communication," announced the communications officer. "Put her through. Let us hear her last words before we destroy her fleet." The same human woman appeared on screen again. This time she was clearly on the bridge of a warship. The bridge looked functional but basic. No crystal walls or floating displays, just metal bulkheads and simple computer screens. "Admiral Kethavar, this is your final chance to withdraw from this system. We do not want to fight you, but we will if you force us to." "You do not want to fight?" Kethavar's voice was full of mock surprise. "Human, you are facing the greatest military force in galactic history. We have conquered nearly 1,000 worlds. Your entire species could not challenge a single one of our battleships." "We know who you are," Admiral Chen replied quietly. "We have been watching the galaxy for a long time. We know what you do to the species you conquer. We know about the slave worlds and the destroyed civilizations. That is why we prepared." "Prepared? With those rust buckets you call warships?" For the first time, the human woman smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Admiral, you are about to learn something important about humans. We are very good at making things look simpler than they really are. You were warned. What happens next is your choice." The transmission ended again. Kethavar stared at the blank screen for a moment. There was something in the human's voice that he had never heard before from a species facing invasion. Confidence. Real, unshakable confidence. "Sir, should we proceed with the attack?" asked his weapons officer. Kethavar looked at the tactical display. 500 of his finest ships against 300 primitive human vessels. The outcome was certain. But that woman's smile bothered him. No species had ever looked at the Zephyrian armada and smiled. "Begin the attack. Destroy half their fleet quickly to break their spirit. We will accept their surrender afterward." As the Vanguard moved toward battle positions, Kethavar felt something he had not experienced in centuries of conquest. It was small and easily ignored, but it was there. For the first time since becoming an admiral, Kethavar felt the tiny, cold touch of doubt. The battle began exactly as Admiral Kethavar expected. His 500 Vanguard ships moved into perfect attack formation. Their energy shields glowed bright blue as they powered up. Weapon systems came online with the familiar hum of charging, antimatter cannons. This was the sound that had brought terror to nearly 1,000 worlds. The human fleet moved to meet them. Their ships looked even worse up close. Welded hull plates, exposed pipes, and what appeared to be hastily attached weapon systems. Some of the human vessels had obvious patches where holes had been repaired. They looked like a fleet of space junk that someone had tried to turn into warships. "Sir, the human ships are moving into attack position," reported the tactical officer. "They appear to be using some form of chemical propulsion, very crude." Begin firing. Target their largest ships first. Let them see the power of Zephyrian technology. The Vanguard opened fire. Brilliant beams of antimatter energy lanced across space toward the human fleet. Each beam carried enough power to destroy a city. The energy weapons were the finest technology in the galaxy, capable of cutting through any known armor or shielding. The beams struck the human ships. For a moment, Kethvar expected to see the familiar explosions as primitive vessels were torn apart. Instead, something impossible happened. The energy beams seemed to bend around the human ships, flowing past them, like water around rocks. "What just happened?" Kethvar demanded. "Sir, the human ships appear to have some form of defensive technology. Our energy weapons are not penetrating their hulls." "That is impossible. Nothing can deflect antimatter beams." Before anyone could respond, the human ships fired back. But their weapons were nothing like the elegant energy beams of civilized warfare. Instead, they launched physical objects, chunks of metal that moved impossibly fast through space. The first projectile hit a Zephyrian cruiser at tremendous speed. The kinetic impact was devastating. The metal slug punched completely through the ship's energy shields as if they were not there. It tore through the hull, destroying internal systems and causing a massive explosion that split the cruiser in half. "Report!" Kethvar shouted over the alarm sounds filling his bridge. "Sir, the humans are using kinetic weapons, solid projectiles moving at extremely high velocity. Our shields are designed to stop energy attacks, not physical impacts at these speeds." More human projectiles streaked through space. Each one moved so fast it was barely visible until it struck. Zephyrian ships began exploding throughout the Vanguard. Their beautiful energy shields, the pride of galactic technology, were useless against simple chunks of metal moving fast enough. "How are they accelerating those projectiles to such velocity?" demanded the science officer. "Unknown. Sir, the energy requirements should be enormous, but their ships do not appear to have power sources capable of this." A new alarm sounded. "Sir, detecting multiple missile launches from the human fleet." Finally, something we can handle. "Activate point defense systems." The Zephyrian ships began shooting down the incoming missiles with precise laser fire. This was familiar territory, but as the missiles got closer, something strange happened. Instead of trying to avoid the defensive fire, some missiles deliberately flew into it. When hit, they exploded in brilliant flashes of light and electromagnetic pulses. "Sir, those were not standard missiles. They were some form of nuclear device designed to disrupt our sensors and communications." While the Zephyrian sensors were recovering from the nuclear flashes, more human projectiles struck home. 3 more cruisers were destroyed in as many seconds. The humans were using the nuclear explosions as cover for their kinetic attacks. "This is impossible," Kethvar muttered. "Primitive species do not fight like this." The battle continued, but it was not going as planned. The human ships moved in unpredictable patterns, using tactics no civilized species would consider. Some ships deliberately rammed into larger Zephyrian vessels after their crews escaped in small pods. Others used their own nuclear weapons as mines, detonating them when enemy ships came too close. Most disturbing of all, the humans seemed to learn and adapt during the fight. Each attack wave used slightly different tactics. When the Zephyrians adjusted their defenses, the humans changed their approach again. "Sir, we have lost over 100 ships," reported the tactical officer. His voice carried disbelief. "The humans have lost approximately 30 vessels." Kethvar stared at the tactical display in shock. His vanguard was being systematically destroyed by a primitive species using crude weapons. It made no sense, according to everything the galactic hegemony knew about warfare. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human admiral." "Put it through." Admiral Chen appeared on screen again. Her uniform was slightly torn and there was a small cut on her forehead, but her expression remained calm. Behind her, the human bridge, crew worked frantically at their stations. "Admiral Kethvar, you were warned. This is your last chance to withdraw your forces from this system. We do not want to destroy all of your ships, but we will if necessary." "How?" Kethvar asked. The word came out before he could stop it. "How are you doing this? Your technology is centuries behind ours." Admiral Chen's smile returned. "You made an assumption, Admiral. You assumed that newer technology is always better technology. You also assumed that we would fight the way you fight. Those were both mistakes. Your weapons are primitive kinetic projectiles." "Yes, they are. But kinetic energy is kinetic energy, regardless of how you deliver it. A piece of metal moving fast enough can destroy anything. The hard part is making it move fast enough. We solved that problem 50 years ago. Your shields should not be able to stop our antimatter beams." "They cannot. We do not use shields. We use something else. Something your sensors cannot properly detect because you have never seen it before." The transmission continued as explosions lit up space around them. "You see, Admiral, humans have a talent for finding new solutions to old problems. We studied your technology through captured ships and intercepted communications. We learned how you fight, what weapons you use, what defenses you rely on. Then we designed everything specifically to counter your advantages." Kethvar felt a chill run through his body. "You knew we were coming. We have been monitoring galactic communications for decades. We knew about the hegemony. We knew about the conquered worlds. We knew that eventually you would come for Earth, so we prepared. This is one system, one primitive world. Even if you destroy my vanguard, I have thousands more ships." "Yes, you do. And if you bring them into this system, we will destroy them too. You were warned, Admiral. We kept our promise. Now you face the consequences." The transmission ended. Around the battlefield, the surviving Zephyrian ships were in full retreat. Less than 300 of the original 500 remained functional. The humans had lost fewer than 60 ships. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked the tactical officer. Kethvar looked at the tactical display showing his scattered, fleeing vanguard. In 3 centuries of conquest, he had never seen anything like this. The humans had not just won a battle. They had completely outfought his forces using weapons and tactics that should not have been possible. "Signal the fleet," he said slowly. "Prepare for full assault. Bring all 10,000 ships to battle readiness." "Sir, perhaps we should reconsider. The humans clearly have capabilities we did not expect." "No!" Kethvar's voice filled the bridge. "I will not be defeated by primitives. They may have surprised us with their crude tricks, but they cannot stand against the full might of the Zephyrian Armada. We will crush them with overwhelming force." But even as he gave the orders, Admiral Kethvar could not shake the memory of Admiral Chen's confident smile. The humans had been prepared for this encounter. They had studied his forces and developed specific countermeasures. If they had planned this carefully for the vanguard, what else had they prepared? For the first time in his long military career, Kethvar wondered if he had made a terrible mistake by ignoring the human warning. Admiral Kethvar would not accept defeat from a primitive species. The loss of his vanguard was embarrassing, but it only proved that the humans had some clever tricks. Numbers would solve this problem. The galactic hegemony had always won through. Overwhelming force, and this time would be no different. "Deploy the full assault fleet," he ordered. 5,000 ships in the first wave. Keep 4,000 in reserve. These humans may have surprised us once, but they cannot stand against half our total fleet. The massive Zephyrian formation moved toward Earth. 5,000 warships arranged in perfect battle order. Each ship was a masterpiece of galactic engineering, carrying weapons that could level continents and shields that had never been broken. The sight should have terrified any species in the galaxy. On Earth, Admiral Chen watched the approaching fleet from her command center deep underground. Around her, hundreds of humans worked at computer stations. The walls were covered with displays showing ship positions, weapon status, and communication channels. But unlike the crystal technology of the Zephyrians, everything here looked functional. and practical. "Admiral, the main alien fleet is entering the outer system," reported Colonel Martinez from his station. "Estimated 5,000 ships. They are maintaining formation and approaching slowly." "Good. They are being careful this time. Signal all stations. Execute Defense Plan Omega." Throughout the solar system, hidden bases began to activate. These installations had been built in secret over 50 years of preparation. They were not visible to normal sensors because they were designed to look like natural features or space debris. On Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, what appeared to be an ice mining facility suddenly revealed its true purpose. Massive hangar doors opened in the moon's surface. Thousands of small, fast ships poured out like angry insects. These were not the large vessels the Zephyrians had fought before. They were tiny, automated drones designed for only one purpose. "Sir, detecting massive launch activity from the outer planets," reported the Zephyrian sensor officer. "Thousands of small vessels approaching our position." "Fighter craft," Kethvar said dismissively. "Primitive species always rely on swarm tactics when outmatched. Order the point defense systems to destroy them." But as the human drones got closer, the Zephyrian crews realized something disturbing. The small ships were not trying to avoid defensive fire. When hit by energy weapons, they did not explode cleanly. Instead, they broke apart into smaller pieces that continued moving toward the alien fleet. "Sir, the drone fragments are still active. They appear to be some form of self-replicating technology." "Self-replicating?" Kethvar felt a chill. Galactic law strictly prohibited such weapons because they were too dangerous to control. The drone fragments reached the Zephyrian ships and began attaching themselves to the hulls. Within minutes, they started to multiply, using the ship's own metal to create more copies of themselves. The elegant alien vessels became covered with growing masses of human technology that ate through their armor like a metal disease. "All ships, emergency purge protocols," Kethvar ordered. "Vent atmosphere and use emergency lasers to burn off the infection." Some ships managed to clear the replicating drones, but others were not fast enough. The growing masses of human technology reached critical systems and began shutting down life support, weapons, and engines. Dozens of Zephyrian ships went dark as their own hulls were consumed from the outside. While the fleet dealt with the drone swarm, Saturn's rings began to move. What the aliens had assumed were natural ice and rock formations suddenly revealed themselves as camouflaged weapon platforms. Massive railguns, each one the size of a city, began firing projectiles toward the Zephyrian fleet. "Sir, detecting multiple large-scale kinetic launches from Saturn orbit." The projectiles were not small pieces of metal like before. These were asteroid-sized chunks of rock and metal accelerated to tremendous speeds. Each one carried the kinetic energy of a planet-killer weapon. "Evasive maneuvers, all ships scatter formation." The Zephyrian fleet broke apart as ships tried to avoid the incoming projectiles. But the asteroids were not aimed at individual ships. They were aimed at the spaces where the alien fleet would be forced to move. The humans had predicted the evasive patterns and fired accordingly. Multiple massive impacts tore through the Zephyrian formation. Each asteroid strike destroyed several ships and sent debris spinning into others. The perfect military formation became a chaotic mess of damaged vessels and emergency maneuvers. "Sir, we are detecting weapon signatures from the asteroid belt itself." Admiral Chen's voice came over every communication channel in the solar system. "Admiral Kethvar, this is your final warning. You are now fighting the entire Sol system, not just Earth's fleet. We have spent 50 years turning our home into the most heavily defended system in this part of the galaxy. You can still withdraw your forces." "Never!" Kethvar shouted back. "We are the galactic hegemony. We do not retreat from primitives." "Then you have chosen your fate. What happened next would have been impossible for any civilized species to imagine." The humans did not just defend their world. They attacked with weapons that violated every principle of honorable warfare. From hidden bases throughout the system came clouds of microscopic machines. These were too small for sensors to detect individually. but they spread through space like an invisible plague. When they reached Zephyrian ships, they began attacking the crews directly. Alien soldiers found their equipment failing, their air systems producing strange chemicals, and their computer networks turning against them. Even worse, the humans launched biological weapons based on Earth's most dangerous diseases. These had been carefully modified to affect alien biology. Zephyrian. Crews began falling sick with illnesses their medical technology could not identify or treat. Sir, multiple ships reporting system failures and crew casualties? The humans are using prohibited weapons. Of course they are. Kethvar realized the terrible truth. They are not a civilized species. They do not follow galactic law. But the worst was yet to come. From deep space came signals that chilled every Zephyrian commander. The humans had somehow gained control of several ships from the original Vanguard. These captured vessels were now broadcasting Zephyrian command codes and technical specifications to the entire human defense network. "They have our security codes," whispered the communications officer. "They know our ship designs, our weapon systems, our tactical procedures." Admiral Chen's voice filled the communication channels again. "We told you we had been watching, Admiral. We have been intercepting your communications for decades. We know about your other fleets, your supply lines, your base locations. We know about the slave worlds and the species you have conquered. This battle was never just about defending Earth." On the main tactical display, new contacts began appearing throughout the galaxy. Human ships previously hidden were attacking hegemony supply depots and communication stations. This was not a single battle for one world. It was a coordinated attack on the entire galactic hegemony. "This is impossible," Kethvar said in a broken voice. "You are one primitive species. How can you challenge the entire galaxy?" "We are not alone, Admiral. For 50 years, refugee ships have been reaching Earth. Survivors from worlds you conquered, escaped slaves from your mining colonies, free species who refused to bow to your empire. They have been teaching us about galactic technology while we taught them about human warfare. Together we have been preparing for this day." The Zephyrian assault fleet was in complete chaos. Half the ships were destroyed or disabled. The survivors were scattered and under constant attack from weapons they could not counter. For the first time in 3 centuries, a Zephyrian invasion had not just failed. It had been completely crushed. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked the tactical officer. Kethvar stared at the displays showing his ruined fleet. The humans had not just defeated his forces. They had revealed that everything the galactic hegemony believed about warfare was wrong. Primitive species were not supposed to be able to do this. "Signal full retreat," he said quietly. All ships returned to reserve formation. But as his surviving ships tried to withdraw, Admiral Kethvar realized that Admiral Chen had not been making empty threats. The humans really had turned their entire star system into a weapon. And if they could do this to his fleet, what could they do to the rest of the galaxy? Admiral Kethvar ordered a full retreat, but the humans had other plans. As the surviving Zephyrian ships tried to withdraw from the inner solar system, they discovered that escape would not be simple. The humans had prepared for this possibility. 2. "Sir, navigation systems are not responding properly," reported the helm officer. "We are receiving conflicting signals from our own computers." "What do you mean, conflicting signals?" "The navigation computer is trying to plot a course toward Earth instead of away from it. When I override manually, the systems reset themselves after a few minutes." Admiral Chen's voice filled the communication channels once again. "Admiral Kethvar, your ships are no longer under your complete control. Our cyber warfare specialists have been inside your computer networks since the battle began. Your vessels will remain in this system until we decide otherwise." Kethvar felt his heart sink. The humans had not just defeated his fleet in battle. They had captured it without his knowledge. "This is an act of piracy. By galactic law, you must allow retreating forces to withdraw." "Galactic law?" Admiral Chen's laugh was cold and harsh. The same galactic law that allows your species to enslave entire civilizations? The same law that permits orbital bombardment of civilian populations? We have seen how the galactic hegemony interprets law, Admiral. Now you will see how humans interpret justice. The trapped Zephyrian ships found themselves herded into a single area of space near Mars. Human vessels surrounded them, weapons trained on any ship that tried to break formation. But the humans were not simply holding them prisoner. They were broadcasting something that chilled every alien crew member. People of the galaxy! Admiral Chen's voice carried across subspace communication channels that reached every inhabited world. Today marks the end of the galactic hegemony's reign of terror. The Zephyrian Armada, conqueror of nearly 1,000 worlds, has been defeated by the forces of Earth and her allies. The broadcast showed images from the battle. Zephyrian ships being torn apart by human weapons. The mighty fleet reduced to scattered debris and helpless prisoners. For species across the galaxy who had lived in fear of the hegemony for centuries, the images were impossible to believe. The hegemony told you that resistance was futile. They said their technology and numbers made them invincible. Today, we proved them wrong. Any species that continues to support their expansion will face the same consequences as this fleet. Admiral Kethvar listened in growing horror as the human woman continued. The age of conquest is over. Humanity claims its place among the stars, and we will not be conquered. More importantly, we will not allow others to be conquered either. This is our declaration. Earth and her allies will liberate every slave world, free every imprisoned species, and hunt down every hegemony fleet until their empire of cruelty ends. The broadcast ended, but its effects rippled across the galaxy. Immediately, on dozens of worlds, slave populations began uprising against their hegemony overseers. Species that had been forced to pay tribute declared independence. Most shocking of all, several hegemony member worlds announced they were switching sides to join the human alliance. "Sir, we are receiving emergency communications from Hegemony Command," reported the communications officer. "They are demanding a full report on our mission status." "What should I tell them?" Kethvar stared at the tactical display. Of his original 10,000 ships, fewer than 3,000 remained functional. The rest were destroyed or so badly damaged they would never fight again. His mighty armada, the terror of the galaxy, had been broken by a species that still used metal ships and kinetic weapons. "Tell them the truth," he said finally. "Tell them that everything we believed about human capabilities was wrong. Tell them that the primitives have weapons and tactics we cannot counter. Tell them that the age of easy conquest is over." But even as he dictated his report, Kethvar knew it was too late. The humans had not just won a battle. They had started a revolution that would spread across the entire galaxy. Over the following days, the full extent of human preparation became clear. The refugees who had been reaching Earth for decades were not just escaping slavery. They were carrying intelligence about hegemony operations, ship designs, and weaknesses. The humans had been building a detailed picture of galactic civilization while appearing to be isolated and primitive. Even more disturbing, the humans revealed they had been capturing hegemony ships for years. Small vessels that had gone missing were assumed to be lost to space accidents or pirate attacks. In reality, they had been taken by human raiders operating far from Earth. Each captured ship provided more technology and intelligence. "We studied you for 50 years, Admiral Chen explained during one of her daily broadcasts to the galaxy. "We learned your languages, your technology, your tactics. We understood your strengths and your weaknesses. Most importantly, we learned about your victims. Every species you conquered became our potential ally. The humans had done something the galactic hegemony thought impossible. They had built a secret alliance of oppressed species throughout the galaxy. While the hegemony saw only conquered slaves, the humans saw potential partners with valuable knowledge and burning motivation for revenge. Sir, long-range sensors are detecting human fleet movements throughout hegemony space, reported the intelligence officer. They are attacking supply convoys, communication stations, and isolated outposts. The attacks are coordinated and appear to be using captured hegemony vessels. Admiral Kethvar realized the terrible scope of human planning. This was not a desperate defense by a primitive world. This was a carefully orchestrated campaign to destroy the galactic hegemony from within. The humans had used their apparent weakness to lure the entire Zephyrian armada into a trap, removing the hegemony's strongest fleet from galactic defense. How many other species are working with them? He asked. Intelligence suggests at least 40 different worlds have declared for the human alliance. Many more are considering rebellion. The humans are offering them something we never did. What? Freedom. Real freedom. They are not demanding tribute or slaves. They are not installing governors or occupation forces. They are simply offering to help liberate oppressed worlds and then leave them alone. This was a concept the galactic hegemony could not understand. Every civilization they knew sought to expand and control others. The idea of liberating worlds without conquering them made no sense to their way of thinking. Admiral Chen appeared on screen one final time before the surviving Zephyrian ships were allowed to depart. Her message was simple and direct. Admiral Kethvar, you and your remaining ships are free to leave this system. Return to your masters and tell them what you have seen. Tell them that the galaxy has changed. Tell them that humanity and our allies will no longer tolerate their crimes against sentient life. She leaned forward, her eyes hard with determination. You gave us no choice but to fight. We gave you warnings that you ignored. Now face the consequences of that decision. The galactic hegemony's days are numbered. We will hunt down every slaver, free every prisoner, and ensure that no species ever again suffers under your empire of cruelty. As the broken remains of his fleet finally escaped the Sol system, Admiral Kethvar understood that this was not just a military defeat. The humans had shattered the myth of hegemony invincibility. More than that, they had provided a rallying point for every oppressed species in the galaxy. The Zephyrian armada had come to conquer one primitive world. Instead, they had awakened a force that would reshape galactic civilization forever. The age of the galactic hegemony was ending, and the age of human-led liberation had begun. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy was a very different place. Admiral Kethvar sat in a small cell on Luna, Earth's moon, staring out through a reinforced window at the bustling activity outside. Human ships moved constantly through space, but they were not alone. Vessels from dozens of different species worked alongside them in the greatest alliance the galaxy had ever seen. The galactic hegemony still existed, but it was shrinking rapidly. Every week brought news of more worlds declaring independence. Some joined the human alliance immediately. Others chose to remain neutral, but none wanted to stay under hegemony control after seeing what had happened to the mighty Zephyrian armada. Admiral Kethvar, a voice said behind him. He turned to see Admiral Chen entering his cell. She looked tired, but satisfied. The past 6 months had been busy ones for the human leader. Admiral Chen, have you come to gloat over your victory? No, she replied, sitting down across from him. I have come to offer you a choice. Kethvar was surprised. In 6 months of captivity, this was the first time she had visited him personally. What kind of choice? Your government has refused all attempts at negotiation. They insist that the hegemony will never surrender to primitive species. They are preparing to send more fleets against us. Of course they are. The hegemony does not negotiate with rebels. Admiral Chen smiled sadly. That is exactly the problem. Your leaders still think this is a rebellion that can be crushed with enough force. They do not understand that everything has changed. She activated a small display device that showed a map of the galaxy. Red areas marked hegemony territory, blue areas showed the human alliance, and green areas indicated neutral, or independent worlds. The map told a clear story. Red was shrinking while blue and green expanded. In 6 months, we have liberated over 200 worlds, Admiral Chen explained. Not conquered, liberated. We remove hegemony forces, help establish local governments, and then we leave. The people are free to choose their own path. Impossible. No species gives up conquered territory. Humans do. We never wanted an empire, Admiral. We wanted freedom, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. Kethvar studied the map more carefully. The pattern was unlike anything he had seen in galactic history. The humans were not expanding their territory. They were creating a network of free worlds that chose to work together. "What is your offer?" he asked finally. "Help us end this war peacefully. You understand hegemony tactics and strategy better than almost anyone. Work with us to find a way to stop the fighting before more lives are lost." "You want me to betray my own species?" "I want you to save your species. The hegemony cannot win this war. Every battle costs them ships and worlds they cannot replace. Meanwhile, our alliance grows stronger with each victory. If this continues, the Zephyrian people will be completely destroyed." Admiral Chen stood and walked to the window. Outside, a massive construction project was taking shape. New shipyards built with technology from dozens of different species. Human engineering combined with alien science to create vessels more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen. "The species in our alliance are not prisoners or slaves," she continued. "They are partners. Each one contributes what they do best. The Crystalline Collective provides advanced computer technology. The nomadic fleets share their knowledge of space navigation. The Forge worlds offer manufacturing expertise. Together, we are building something greater than any single empire. And what do humans contribute? We contribute what we have always been good at, finding new solutions to old problems, taking existing technology and using it in ways no one expected. Most importantly, we contribute the idea that different species can work together as equals instead of masters and slaves." Kethvar was quiet for a long time. Through the window he could see Zephyrian prisoners working alongside human engineers. They were not chained or guarded. They appeared to be contributing to the construction projects voluntarily. "What are they building out there?" "Ships," Admiral Chen replied. "Not warships, though we are building those too. Mostly we are building exploration vessels, colony ships, and rescue craft. The galaxy is full of refugees from hegemony oppression. We are helping them find new homes or return to their original worlds. And the Zephyrian prisoners? They are not prisoners anymore. Anyone who wants to leave is free to go. Those who stay do so because they choose to help build something better." This concept was difficult for Kethvar to understand. In hegemony, society captured enemies were always enslaved or executed. The idea of giving them freedom to choose their own fate was completely foreign. "Why are you really showing me this?" he asked. "Because in 2 days, the hegemony will launch another attack. Intelligence suggests they are sending their entire remaining fleet, nearly 15,000 ships in a final attempt to crush the rebellion." Kethvar felt a chill. He knew the hegemony leadership well enough to believe this was possible. They would rather see the galaxy burn than admit defeat to primitive species. "They plan to destroy everything," Admiral Chen continued. "Every human, world, every allied species, every neutral planet that refused to rejoin the hegemony. They call it the final solution. You cannot stop 15,000 ships. Perhaps not, but we will try. And when we do, millions of Zephyrians will die alongside billions of other beings. Your people will be remembered as genocidal monsters who chose mutual destruction over peaceful coexistence." Admiral Chen turned back to face him. "But it does not have to end that way. Help us find a better path. Help us prove that Zephyrians can be partners instead of conquerors. Kethavar stared at the galactic map again. The human alliance controlled nearly a third of known space. More worlds declared independence every day. Even if the final solution succeeded in destroying the human homeworld, it would not restore the old order. Too many species had tasted freedom to ever accept slavery again. What would you want me to do? Contact the hegemony fleet. Tell them what you have seen here. Explain that the humans are not monsters seeking revenge. We are offering a chance for all species to live in peace. They will not listen. Hegemony doctrine does not allow for negotiation with inferiors. Then help us minimize the bloodshed when they attack. Every life saved matters, whether human, Zephyrian, or any other species. Admiral Kethavar made his decision. For the first time in his life, he would act against hegemony orders. Not out of cowardice or defeat, but because he finally understood what Admiral Chen had been trying to tell him for months. The old way of thinking was ending whether the hegemony accepted it or not. I will help you, he said quietly, not because I believe you will win, but because I believe my people deserve a chance to survive in whatever galaxy emerges from this war. Admiral Chen nodded. That is all any of us can ask for, a chance to build something better than what came before. 3 days later, the hegemony's final solution fleet arrived at the edge of human space. They came expecting to face desperate primitives making a last stand. Instead, they found Admiral Kethavar waiting for them with a message that would echo across the galaxy. Fellow Zephyrians, I am Admiral Kethavar of the destroyed Armada. I speak to you not as a traitor, but as someone who has seen the future. The humans offered us a warning. We ignored it. Now we face the consequences of that choice. But it is not too late to choose a different path. The galaxy held its breath as the greatest fleet in hegemony history paused at the threshold of human space. The decision made in the next few hours would determine whether the future held peace or the complete destruction of galactic civilization. Admiral Chen had been right about one thing. Everything had changed. The age of conquest was ending. The age of cooperation was about to begin, whether through wisdom or through the ashes of the old order. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the human ship Prometheus, watching the massive space station grow larger on the main screen. The Galactic Council's headquarters looked like a crystal flower floating in space, its transparent walls glowing with soft blue light. After 15 years of working with alien species, Sarah still felt amazed every time she saw it. "We're getting clearance to dock, Captain," said Lieutenant Park from his position at communications. "Bay 7 as usual." Sarah nodded. This was her 5th trip to the Council headquarters, and everything seemed normal. The human delegation was here for the monthly meeting where different species shared updates about their territories and projects. Humanity had earned respect over the years by sharing medical technology that saved millions of lives and terraforming methods that turned dead worlds into gardens. "Take us in slowly," Sarah ordered. She liked to give her crew time to admire the station. Most of them had never seen anything like it before joining the diplomatic fleet. The Prometheus was one of 12 human ships that made up their diplomatic fleet. Each ship carried about 200 people, including diplomats, scientists, engineers, and security personnel. Today, they were bringing news about 3 new worlds that humans had successfully terraformed in the Outer Rim. As they docked, Sarah felt the familiar vibration through the ship's hull. The artificial gravity shifted slightly as the station's systems took over. She straightened her blue diplomatic uniform and checked her appearance in the mirror. Her black hair was pulled back neatly, and her face showed the confidence that came from years of successful negotiations. "Captain, we're getting a priority message from the Council," Lieutenant Park said, his voice sounding confused. "They want all human ships to dock immediately. They're saying it's for special security measures." Sarah frowned. In 15 years, she had never heard of special security measures. The Galactic Council prided itself on being a peaceful organization. Did they say what kind of security measures? No, Captain. Just that all human vessels need to be secured before the meeting begins. Something felt wrong, but Sarah couldn't put her finger on what it was. The other human ships were already moving toward their assigned docking bays. She could see the Darwin and the Mandela on her screen, both following the same instructions. Follow their orders, Sarah decided. But keep our engines on standby, just in case. The docking process took longer than usual. Instead of the normal automated systems, alien security teams boarded each human ship to verify identification. The teams included Zephyrians with their tall, crystal-like bodies that sparkled in the light, Vex Collective members who looked like giant insects with multiple arms, and Luminals who appeared as floating balls of pure energy. Sarah met the security team at the airlock. The leader was a Zephyrian named HFY, whose crystal face showed no emotion. Captain Chen, we need to escort your senior staff to the council chambers immediately. That's unusual, Sarah said carefully. Normally we have time to prepare. Our presentations first. Orders from the High Council, HFY replied in his musical voice. All human representatives must attend immediately. Sarah gathered her senior staff, Commander Rodriguez, her second-in-command, Dr. Williams, their chief scientist, and Ambassador Thompson, their main negotiator. As they walked through the station's corridors, Sarah noticed more security teams than usual. The normally open and welcoming halls felt tense. The council chambers were different too. Instead of the usual circular arrangement where all species sat as equals, the humans found themselves in the center of the room, surrounded by representatives from dozens of alien races. The three most powerful species, the Zephyrians, Vex, Collective, and Luminals, sat together on an elevated platform. High Counselor Zeth Prime, the oldest Zephyrian, stood up. His crystal body rang like a bell as he moved. Humans of Earth, he began, we have gathered today to address a growing concern about your species. Sarah felt her stomach drop. What kind of concern, High Counselor? Your rapid advancement troubles us, said Hive Queen Vexa, her insect-like mandibles clicking as she spoke. In just 15 years, you have terraformed 47 worlds and developed medical technology that surpasses species who have been spacefaring for thousands of years. We have shared our discoveries freely, Ambassador Thompson said, stepping forward. We have helped every species that asked for assistance. That is exactly the problem, said the Luminol representative, its voice coming from everywhere at once. You advance too quickly. You change too fast. You are unpredictable. Sarah realized with growing horror that this was not a normal council meeting. Are you saying we're being punished for helping people? We are saying you are dangerous, Zeth Prime replied. Our analysis shows that if your advancement continues at this rate, you will surpass all of us within 50 years. We cannot allow that. The room filled with alien voices, all agreeing. Sarah heard phrases like too aggressive, uncontrolled growth, and threat to galactic stability. She looked around and saw that every other species was nodding in agreement. Even the races that humans had helped were supporting this decision. What are you proposing? Sarah asked, though she was afraid she already knew. Humanity will be removed from the Galactic Council, Zeth Prime announced. Your ships will be confiscated, your people will be relocated to a quarantine system, and your advancement will be limited to ensure galactic peace. You can't do this, Commander Rodriguez shouted. We have done nothing wrong. You exist. Hive Queen Vexa clicked back. That is enough. Suddenly, Sarah understood why the security measures had been necessary. This wasn't a trial or a hearing. This was an execution. The aliens had already decided to destroy humanity, and they had lured the entire human diplomatic fleet here to prevent any warning from getting back to Earth. I need to contact my ship, Sarah said, trying to keep her voice steady. Communications have been blocked, the luminal said. Your ships are being boarded as we speak. Resistance will result in immediate destruction. Sarah's hand moved to her communication device, but she knew it was useless. However, she had one advantage the aliens didn't know about. Every human ship had an emergency quantum transmitter, hidden and shielded from detection. It could only send a short message, but it might be enough. While the aliens continued talking about humanity's crimes and their generous offer to let humans live in exile, Sarah pressed a hidden button on her uniform. The emergency transmitter activated, sending a burst transmission toward Earth. The message was simple: betrayal, council, hostile, prepare. The transmission lasted only a fraction of a second, but Sarah prayed it would be enough. If Admiral Torres received the message, Earth would know what had happened here. If not, humanity would walk unknowingly into the same trap. Captain Chen, Zeth Prime said, "You and your people will be taken to holding areas while we prepare your new home. We regret this necessity, but the peace of the galaxy requires it." As alien guards surrounded the human delegation, Sarah looked back at her. Fellow humans. They all understood what was happening. 15 years of friendship and cooperation had meant nothing. The galaxy had decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist as equals. But as the guards led them away, Sarah smiled grimly. The aliens had made one critical mistake. They assumed that the 12 ships of the diplomatic fleet represented humanity's full space capability. They thought they knew everything about human technology and advancement. They were about to learn. How wrong they were? The message was sent, and Admiral Torres would receive it within hours. When he did, the galaxy would discover what humanity looked like when it wasn't trying to be friendly. Sarah Chen walked toward her cell, already planning for the war that was about to begin. Admiral Marcus Torres was drinking his morning coffee when the quantum alert sounded in his office. The sharp, urgent tone cut through the peaceful atmosphere of Luna Command like a knife. In 25 years of military service, he had heard that sound only during drills. "Sir!" Lieutenant Commander Ramirez burst through his door without knocking. "Priority quantum transmission from the diplomatic fleet. Eyes only, maximum security." Torres set down his cup and moved to his private terminal. His fingers flew over the quantum decryption keys, unlocking the message that had traveled faster than light from the Galactic Council station. When he read the 3 words, his blood turned to ice. Betrayal, council hostile, prepare, get me. General Harrison, Director Nakamura, and Admiral Volkov, Torres said, his voice deadly calm. Conference room Alpha, 5 minutes. Enable full security protocols. Yes, sir. Should I alert the diplomatic corps? No. And cancel all my appointments for the next 48 hours. As Ramirez left, Torres walked to his office window and looked out at the blue-green Earth hanging in space. For 15 years, humanity had played the role of the eager student, the grateful junior partner in galactic civilization. They had shared their best technologies, helped terraform worlds, and saved millions of alien lives with human medical advances, all while keeping their most important secrets hidden. The 3 other leaders arrived within minutes. General Harrison commanded Earth's ground forces, Director Nakamura ran the intelligence division, and Admiral Volkov oversaw the hidden fleet projects. Together they formed humanity's real leadership, the group that made decisions the public never knew about. "The Council has betrayed us," Torres said without preamble, displaying Captain Chen's message on the main screen. "Our diplomatic fleet is captured or destroyed, and we must assume they're planning to move against Earth." "How long do we have?" asked General Harrison, a woman whose gray hair and scarred hand spoke of decades in combat. "Unknown. But if they've taken our people hostage, they might try to use them as leverage first." Torres moved to the room's central console and placed his hand on a bioscanner. "It's time to activate Protocol Lazarus." Director Nakamura, a small man with sharp eyes, leaned forward. "Are we certain?" Once we activate Lazarus, there's no going back to the way things were. The way things were is over, Torres replied. The galaxy has shown us what they really think of humanity. Now they'll learn what we really are. The bioscanner accepted Torres's handprint, then requested confirmation from the other 3 leaders. One by one, they placed their hands on the scanner. When the 4th confirmation was complete, a new voice spoke from the walls. Protocol Lazarus activated. All hidden assets coming online. Estimated time to full operational status, 36 hours. Across the solar system, things began to change. On the dark side of the moon, massive doors opened in what looked like empty crater walls. Inside, shipyards that had been working in secret for over a decade powered up their construction lines. Ships that existed in no official records began, moving toward launch positions. On Mars, underground facilities that were officially listed as mining operations started producing weapons that no alien species had ever seen. Asteroid bases that supposedly collected minerals were actually manufacturing centers for the most advanced technology humanity had ever created. "Show them the real numbers," Torres ordered. The room's displays lit up with data that would have shocked the Galactic Council. Instead of the 12 ships they thought comprised humanity's space fleet, there were actually over 3,000 vessels hidden throughout the solar system. Instead of the basic weapons and shields the aliens had seen, humans had developed quantum-fold drives, singularity cannons, and adaptive AI systems that learned from every battle. "How did we keep this hidden for so long?" asked Admiral Volkov, though he knew the answer. He had helped design the concealment systems. "The same way we've hidden everything else," Director Nakamura replied. "We showed them what they expected to see. Peaceful explorers with impressive but limited technology. Meanwhile, we were learning everything we could about their capabilities and developing counters for every weapon system in their arsenal." The truth was that humanity had been preparing for this possibility since their first contact with alien life. While human diplomats spoke of peace and cooperation, human engineers had been designing ships that could defeat any known alien vessel. While human doctors shared life-saving treatments, human weapons designers had been creating tools of war that could level entire fleets. "The aliens think they know us," Torres said, studying the deployment patterns on his screens. "They've seen our diplomatic ships, our medical technology, our terraforming equipment. They think they understand human capabilities because we've carefully shown them exactly what we wanted them to see." General Harrison smiled grimly. "They're about to learn the difference between human diplomacy and human warfare." The hidden shipyards were already launching the first wave of humanity's real fleet. These ships bore no resemblance to the peaceful exploration vessels the aliens knew. They were sleek, dark, and built for only one purpose: combat. Their hulls were made of adaptive smart metal that could reshape itself during battle. Their weapons could tear holes in space-time itself. "What about our people on the Council station?" Admiral Volkov asked. "We'll get them back," Torres promised. "But first, we need to make sure the aliens understand their mistake." Director Nakamura pulled up intelligence reports that had been gathering dust for years. "Our analysis suggests the 3 major council races have been planning this for at least 2 years. They've been coordinating their fleets and sharing intelligence about human activities." "They're afraid of us," Torres realized. "Our advancement rate scared them. They saw how quickly we developed interstellar travel, how easily we solved problems that took them centuries to figure out. They decided to eliminate the threat before we became too powerful." "Too late," General Harrison said with satisfaction. "We've been too powerful for years. We just let them think otherwise." The massive screens around the room showed ship after ship emerging from hidden bases. Dreadnoughts the size of small cities, equipped with weapons that could crack planets. Stealth frigates that could become completely invisible to any known sensor. Carrier ships that launched swarms of AI-controlled fighters. "Deploy Ghost Squadron. First," Torres ordered. "I want the Council to understand that their safe rear areas don't exist anymore. Hit their supply depots, their communication relays, their military bases. Make them realize they're fighting an enemy they can't see or predict. What about civilian populations? Asked Director Nakamura. We target military assets only, Torres said firmly. We're not like them. We don't punish entire species for the decisions of their leaders. But anyone wearing a military uniform who serves the Council is now considered hostile. Admiral Volkov was already coordinating with the fleet commanders. Captain Vasquez is requesting permission to take Ragnarok and her battle group into Council. Space immediately. Granted. Tell her to make an impression. As the orders went out, Torres reflected on how completely the situation had changed in just a few hours. This morning, humanity had been a junior member of a peaceful, galactic community. Now, they were about to reveal themselves as the most dangerous military force the galaxy had ever seen. The aliens had wanted to contain humanity's advancement. Instead, they had unleashed 15 years of carefully hidden preparation and innovation. They had turned humanity's greatest ally into their most terrifying enemy. How long before they realized their mistake? General Harrison asked. Torres watched as the last of the hidden ships cleared their launch bays and began forming battle groups. About 72 hours. By then, it will be far too late to take it back. The message had been received, and humanity's answer was already on its way. Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the command center of the Ragnarok, watching her tactical display show absolutely nothing. To anyone looking at their sensors, this area of space was empty. They would be wrong. Around her, invisible to every detection, method known to galactic science, floated the largest human warship ever built. The Ragnarok was 2 kilometers long and equipped with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. More importantly, it could do so while remaining completely undetected. Ghost phasing holding steady at 99.7%, reported her weapons officer, Commander Park. We're completely invisible to their sensors. Elena nodded. The ghost phasing technology was humanity's greatest secret, developed during 10 years of studying alien sensor systems. By shifting slightly out of normal space-time, human ships could become undetectable while still being able to observe and attack targets in normal space. Any word from the other ghost ships? Elena asked. Shadow's Edge reports successful infiltration of the Vex supply depot at Kepler 442, said Lieutenant Torres from Communications. Silent Thunder has destroyed 3 Zephyrian communication relays without being detected. Death Whisper eliminated an entire luminal patrol squadron. They never knew what hit them. Elena smiled coldly. For 3 days, humanity's ghost fleet had been striking targets throughout Council space. Military bases exploded without warning. Supply convoys vanished between star systems. Communication networks went dead with no explanation. The Council. Races were starting to panic, and they had no idea why. Captain, we're approaching the target, announced her navigator. Zephyrian Naval Base, Delta 7. Exactly where intelligence said it would be. Elena looked at the massive space station on her main screen. Delta 7 was one of the Council's most important military bases, home to over 200 Zephyrian warships and 50,000 personnel. It was heavily defended with energy shields, particle cannons, and sensor arrays that could detect a single fighter at 10 light-years distance, none of which could see the Ragnarok. Analysis complete, reported her science officer. The base has standard Type 7 shields, quantum resonance sensors, and plasma defense grids. Our weapons should penetrate their defenses with 95% efficiency. What about civilian casualties? Elena asked. The base is military only. No civilian population detected. Elena had been chosen to command the Ghost Fleet specifically, because she understood the difference between warfare and murder. Humanity was at war with the Council's military forces, not with innocent civilians. Every target had been carefully selected to minimize civilian casualties while maximizing military impact. Begin the attack. I want this base completely destroyed, but I want it to take exactly 7 minutes. Let them send distress calls. Let them panic. Let them wonder what kind of enemy they're facing. The Ragnarok's weapons systems came online. Singularity torpedoes materialized in normal space directly inside the base's shields, bypassing all defenses. Quantum pulse cannons fired from impossible angles, their energy beams appearing from empty space to slice through the station's hull. Elena watched the tactical display as the Zephyrian base tried desperately to fight back. Their weapons fired randomly into space, hoping to hit something they couldn't see. Their sensors scanned frantically, finding nothing but empty vacuum. Their commanders screamed for reinforcements that would arrive too late. "They're launching fighters," Commander Park reported. "Looks like about 50 Crystal Wing interceptors. Let them come. Show them how helpless they are." The Zephyrian fighters spread out in attack formation, their weapons charging for combat against an enemy they couldn't locate. The Ragnarok fired precise bursts from its point defense systems. One by one, the fighters exploded with no indication of what had destroyed them. To the surviving pilots, it looked like their squad mates were simply disintegrating for no reason. "Incoming transmission from the base," Lieutenant Torres announced. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies, asking who's attacking them." "Let me hear it." The voice of a terrified Zephyrian commander filled the bridge. "Unknown attackers, please. Identify yourselves. We cannot see your ships. What do you want? Why are you doing this?" Elena activated the communication system. When she spoke, her voice was transmitted from multiple points around the base, making it impossible to determine her location. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the human warship Ragnarok. You are being destroyed because your council chose to betray humanity. This is what happens when you mistake mercy for weakness." "Humans?" The alien voice cracked in disbelief. "Impossible! Your fleet was destroyed. Your ships are primitive compared to ours." "The ships you destroyed were our diplomatic fleet," Elena replied calmly, watching as another section of the base exploded under her guns. "You never saw our military fleet. You never even imagined we had one." She cut the transmission and turned to her weapons officer. "Finish it." The Ragnarok's main guns fired in unison. Beams of concentrated dark energy struck the base's central core, causing a chain reaction that tore the entire structure apart. In less than 2 minutes, one of the Council's most important military bases was reduced to expanding debris. "Any survivors?" Elena asked. 17 escape pods. Standard procedure?" "Yes. Damage their engines so they can't escape, but leave life. Support intact. I want witnesses to report what happened here." As the Ragnarok moved away from the destruction, Elena studied the tactical map of Council space. Red markers showed where Ghost Fleet attacks had occurred over the past 3 days. Supply depots destroyed, communication relays eliminated, military bases reduced to scrap metal, patrol fleets that had simply vanished without a trace. "Captain, we're receiving orders from Admiral Torres," Lieutenant Torres reported. Elena read the message and felt a grim satisfaction. Phase 2 was about to begin. "Set course for the Vex Collective's home system," she ordered, "and send a message to all ghost ships. It's time to show the Council what real terror looks like." "Ma'am, should I maintain ghost phasing?" "No. When we enter the Vex system, I want them to see us coming. I want them to know exactly who's about to destroy their home fleet." The plan was working perfectly. For 3 days, the Council races had been fighting shadows, trying to defend against enemies they couldn't see or understand. Their military confidence was shattered. Their supply lines were broken. Their communication networks were crippled. Now it was time for the next phase, direct confrontation. Elena would take the Ghost Fleet into the heart of Council territory and challenge their main battle fleets to open combat. When the aliens saw how easily human ships destroyed their best warships, they would understand the true scope of their mistake. "Ghost phasing disengaged," Commander Park announced. "We are now visible to standard sensors." "Good. Send a message on all Council frequencies. Tell them the human Navy is coming to collect our people. Tell them that every day Captain Chen and her crew remain prisoners, we will destroy another of their worlds. Tell them that they started this war but we will finish it. Elena looked out at the stars ahead, knowing that somewhere in that darkness, her fellow humans were being held prisoner by aliens who thought they were the superior species. Soon, Captain Chen and her crew would be free. Soon, the galaxy would understand what humanity really was when it stopped pretending to be weak. The Ghost Fleet moved through space like death itself, invisible when it chose to be, unstoppable when it revealed itself. Behind them lay the wreckage of the Council's military power. Ahead lay the alien homeworlds, where the final lessons would be taught. Elena smiled as she watched the stars. The aliens had wanted to see humanity's true nature. They were about to get their wish. High Counselor Zeth Prime stared at the tactical display in the Council's emergency command center, his crystal body flickering with stress patterns. In just 1 week, the humans had destroyed over 40 military bases, eliminated 3 entire patrol fleets, and crippled the Council's supply network. Worst of all, they had done most of it while remaining completely invisible. "How many ships do we estimate they have?" Zeth Prime asked the assembled military commanders. General Crix Va, the Zephyrian fleet commander, shifted uncomfortably. "Based on attack patterns and response times, we believe they have at least 500 vessels of unknown design, possibly more." 500? Hive Queen Vexa's mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation. "Our intelligence said they had 12. Ships total." "Our intelligence was wrong," admitted Director Flux 9, the luminal spy chief. "The humans have been deceiving us for 15 years. Every piece of technology they shared was deliberately limited. Every capability they demonstrated was carefully restricted." Zeth Prime felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. The Zephyrians had ruled their part of the galaxy for over 10,000 years. They had advanced technology, powerful weapons, and vast fleets. Yet somehow, these young humans had built a military force that could strike anywhere and disappear, without a trace. "What about the ancient weapons?" Zeth Prime asked. "The Forerunner artifacts?" A tremor went through the room. The Forerunners were an extinct race that had once controlled the entire galaxy before mysteriously vanishing millions of years ago. They had left behind powerful artifacts that most species considered too dangerous to use. "The Keeper's Council has agreed to release 3 artifacts," General Crix Va said quietly. "The Void Hammer, the Reality Anchor, and the Star Killer." "That's forbidden technology," Hive Queen Vexa protested. "The treaty clearly states, the treaty doesn't matter if we're all dead." Zeth Prime's voice rang like breaking glass. "The humans are destroying us piece by piece. They appear from nowhere, destroy our forces, and vanish again. Our greatest weapons can't even detect them." Unknown to the council leaders, Commander Kai Thompson was listening to every word. The human special forces officer was crouched in the ventilation system above the command center, wearing a stealth suit that made him invisible to all known sensors. He had been gathering intelligence for 3 days, learning everything he could about the council's desperate plans. Kai activated his quantum communicator and whispered into it. "Shadow Base, this is Ghost 1. The council is activating Forerunner artifacts. Repeat, they're using ancient weapons. Request immediate extraction and fleet support." The response came back instantly. "Confirmed, Ghost 1. Captain Vasquez is en route with the strike force. Complete your mission and get out." Kai's mission was simple in concept, but deadly in execution. He needed to steal one of the Forerunner artifacts before the Council could use it against humanity. Intelligence suggested that these ancient weapons could destroy entire star systems or tear holes in space itself. In the wrong hands, they could end human civilization. "The Void Hammer is being moved to the primary battle fleet," General Crix Va was saying below. "Admiral Thex Nor will use it to destroy the human home system." "What about the Reality Anchor?" Zeth Prime asked. "It will be deployed here, around our primary worlds. If the humans attack our home worlds, The anchor will trap them in normal space, where our weapons can destroy them. And the Star Killer? Reserved for absolute emergency. If all else fails, we can use it to destroy any star system the humans are using as a base. Kai had heard enough. The Council was planning to commit genocide, using weapons that could destroy entire solar systems. He had to stop them. But first, he needed to get one of those artifacts to human scientists who could figure out how they worked. Moving carefully through the ventilation system, Kai made his way toward the artifact storage facility. According to his intelligence, the Forerunner weapons were kept in a maximum security vault 3 levels below the command center. Getting there would require passing through dozens of security checkpoints, but his stealth suit should handle most of them. 20 minutes later, Kai crouched outside the vault entrance, studying the alien security systems: energy barriers, motion detectors, quantum locks, and armed guards. It was the most secure location he had ever seen, designed to keep out entire armies. Fortunately, he wasn't an army. He was something the aliens hadn't planned for. A single human with 15 years of studying their technology and finding its weaknesses. Kai activated a device that looked like a simple metal cube. The cube projected a field that disrupted the quantum locks, causing them to reset to their default state. While the locks were cycling, he slipped through the energy barriers and past the motion detectors. The vault itself was enormous, filled with artifacts that hummed with ancient power. Kai could feel the energy radiating from them, making his skin tingle and his hair stand up. Some of the artifacts looked like weapons. Others looked like simple geometric shapes. All of them felt dangerous. The reality anchor was easy to identify. It looked like a metal sphere covered in glowing symbols, about the size of a basketball. According to the files Kai had stolen, it could lock space-time in place, preventing faster-than-light travel or advanced maneuvering within its area of effect. Kai carefully removed the reality anchor from its mounting and placed it in his equipment pack. The device was surprisingly light, but he could feel it vibrating with contained energy. He was carrying something that could change the laws of physics themselves. Alert! Security breach in Vault 7. The alarm began sounding as Kai triggered. The exit sensors. His stealth suit could fool the entry systems, but the exit sensors were designed differently. Ghost 1 to Shadow Base, Kai said into his communicator as he ran through the corridors. Package acquired. Need immediate extraction. 30 seconds out, came the reply. Get to the outer hull. Kai fought his way through the station as alien security forces closed in around him. His stealth suit was failing under the stress of combat, making him flicker in and out of visibility. Zephyrian guards fired crystal weapons that could shatter steel, while Vex soldiers used plasma cannons that turned corridor walls into molten metal. Finally, Kai reached an outer airlock and activated his emergency beacon. Seconds later, the human stealth ship Shadow's Edge materialized beside the station. The ship's hull opened, and mechanical arms reached out to grab Kai as he jumped from the airlock. Package secured, Kai reported as the ship's medical team checked him for injuries. We have the reality anchor. Excellent work, said Captain Morrison, the ship's commander. Now let's get this thing back to our scientists before the Council realizes what we've stolen. As the Shadow's Edge vanished, back into ghost phasing, the Council's forces were still searching for the infiltrator. They would soon discover that one of their most powerful weapons was gone, stolen by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Meanwhile, Admiral Thex Nor was loading the Void Hammer onto his flagship, preparing to use it against Earth itself. The ancient weapon could supposedly destroy an entire star system, turning planets into cosmic dust. He planned to show the humans what happened when they challenged species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. What Admiral Thex Nor didn't know was that Captain Vasquez and the Ragnarok were already waiting for him. The human ghost fleet had been tracking his movements for days, preparing to intercept his battle group before it could reach human space. The Council had made their desperate gambit, reaching for forbidden weapons from a dead civilization. They thought these ancient artifacts would give them the power to destroy humanity once and for all. They were about to learn that some gambles have consequences no one can predict. Admiral Marcus Torres stood in the command center deep beneath Earth's surface, watching the greatest fleet in galactic history approach his home system. On the massive holographic display, over 10,000 alien ships moved in perfect formation toward Earth. The combined might of the Zephyrian Empire, the Vex Collective, and the Luminal Federation had come to end humanity once and for all. "Admiral, they'll be in weapons range in 6 hours," reported Colonel Singh from the tactical station. "Should we activate the planetary defense grid?" Torres shook his head. "Not yet. Let them get closer. Let them think they've won." The truth was that Torres had been expecting this moment for 15 years. From humanity's first contact with alien life, he had been preparing for the possibility that peaceful coexistence might fail. What the aliens saw as Earth's defensive preparations, he had designed as something far more ambitious: the transformation of humanity's entire home system into the ultimate weapon. "Status report on annihilation protocol," Torres ordered. "All systems green," replied Dr. Sarah Kim, the chief scientist who had spent a decade designing the impossible. "The gravitational manipulators are online. The quantum field generators are charged. The solar collectors are at maximum capacity. We're ready." Torres looked at the tactical display again. The alien fleet was massive beyond anything he had imagined. Zephyrian crystal ships that could shatter planets. Vex biovessels that could adapt to any attack. Luminal energy constructs that existed partially outside normal space. Each individual ship could destroy a human city. Together, they represented the concentrated military power of 3 galactic empires. It didn't matter. "Sir, we're getting a transmission from the enemy fleet," said Lieutenant Commander Ramirez. "Admiral Thex Nor wants to speak with you." "Put him through." The holographic display shifted to show a massive Zephyrian whose crystal body was covered in military decorations. Behind him, Torres could see the bridge of what had to be the largest warship ever built, filled with alien officers preparing for battle. "Admiral Torres," Thex Nor said, his voice carrying the arrogance of 10,000 years of galactic dominance. "I am here to accept your unconditional surrender. Your resistance ends now." "I'm curious," Torres replied calmly. "What makes you think we're going to surrender?" "Look around you, human. I have brought 10,000 ships to your pathetic system. I have weapons that can crack your world like an egg. Your entire species could not build a fleet large enough to challenge even one of my battle groups." Torres smiled. "You're right. We couldn't build a fleet large enough to stop you." "Then you surrender?" "No. We built something better." Torres nodded to Dr. Kim, who activated the first phase of Annihilation Protocol. Across the solar system, installations that the aliens had dismissed as simple mining operations or research stations began to reveal their true purpose. On the dark side of the moon, massive doors opened to reveal weapon systems that dwarfed anything in the approaching alien fleet. On Mars, the entire planet's surface reconfigured itself as hidden missile silos emerged from beneath the red soil. In the asteroid belt, rocks that had seemed natural suddenly activated powerful engines and began moving into formation. "What is this?" Admiral Thex Nor demanded, his confidence wavering as his sensors detected the emerging human forces. "This is who we really are," Torres replied. "For 15 years, you thought you knew humanity. You saw our diplomatic ships and assumed that was our military. You saw our peaceful colonies and assumed we were weak. You were wrong. The alien fleet was now detecting thousands of human ships emerging from hiding places throughout the solar system. Sleek destroyers rose from camouflaged bases on Europa. Massive dreadnoughts uncloaked near Jupiter's moons. Entire battle groups materialized from what had appeared to be empty space. "Impossible," Thex Nor whispered. "Our intelligence said you had 12 ships. Your intelligence saw what we wanted you to see. Every human ship you've encountered in the past 15 years was deliberately designed to appear primitive. Every weapon system we demonstrated was intentionally limited. Every technological advancement we shared was carefully selected to hide our real capabilities. Dr. Kim activated the second phase of the protocol. Around Earth, space itself began to change. The planet's gravity well started fluctuating in ways that violated known physics. The local space-time manifold began to ripple with artificial distortions. "Admiral," Colonel Singh reported, "the alien fleet is trying to retreat, but they can't. Our gravitational manipulators have them locked in place." Torres had turned Earth's entire solar system into a trap. The gravitational manipulators could create artificial black holes, redirect asteroids at near-light speed, and prevent enemy ships from escaping to faster-than-light travel. The aliens had flown into a system that was itself a weapon. "You wanted to see humanity's true nature," Torres said to the increasingly panicked alien admiral. "You declared war on us because you were afraid of what we might become. Let me show you what we already are." Phase 3 of Annihilation Protocol activated. The sun itself began to pulse with artificial energy as massive solar collectors redirected its output through quantum field generators. Beams of concentrated stellar energy, each one capable of destroying a moon, lanced out toward the alien fleet. The first beam struck Admiral Thex Nor's flagship directly in its center. The ship's shields, designed to withstand the firepower of entire fleets, collapsed instantly. The vessel itself, 3 kilometers of crystalline armor and advanced weapons, simply ceased to exist. "This is Admiral Torres of the Human Defense Force," Torres broadcast on all frequencies as his system's weapons began systematically destroying the alien fleet. "You came here to eliminate humanity because you feared our potential. Instead, you've discovered our reality." Across the solar system, the hidden human fleet engaged the scattered remnants of the alien armada. Ships that had taken decades to build were destroyed in seconds by weapons the aliens had never imagined. The Zephyrian crystal vessels shattered under quantum bombardment. The Vex bioships were torn apart by artificial singularities. The luminal energy constructs were dispersed by field disruptors designed specifically to counter their unique nature. "Please," came a transmission from one of the surviving alien commanders. "We surrender. Stop the attack." "Surrender?" Torres replied. "You didn't offer our diplomatic fleet the chance to surrender. You didn't give Captain Chen the option of peaceful resolution. You decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist." The final phase of Annihilation Protocol engaged. Every artificial gravity well in the system synchronized, creating a series of space-time distortions that tore the remaining alien ships apart at the molecular level. In less than an hour, the greatest military force in galactic history had been completely annihilated. When the battle was over, Torres activated the quantum communication array and sent a message that would reach every inhabited system in the galaxy within days. "This is Admiral Marcus Torres, commanding the Human Defense Force. The Galactic Council has been dissolved. Any species that wishes peaceful relations with humanity may send diplomatic representatives to the Sol system. Any species that chooses hostility will be treated as the Council fleet was treated today." He paused, looking out at the debris field that had once been 10,000 enemy ships. "For 15 years, humanity offered friendship to the galaxy. We shared our knowledge, saved your people, and helped build your worlds. You repaid us with betrayal and attempted genocide. This is our response. We are not the weak species you believed us to be. We are not the primitive race you thought you could eliminate. We are humanity, and we have just begun to show you what that means." As the message transmitted across the galaxy, hidden human bases throughout known space began to reveal themselves. On worlds the aliens thought were uninhabited, human colonies that had been concealed for decades activated their defense systems. In systems the Council believed were under their control, human ships emerged from stealth to accept the surrender of local forces. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's true expansion had been hidden as carefully as their military strength. They had not been confined to a few dozen worlds, as the aliens believed. They had been quietly establishing themselves throughout the galaxy, waiting for the day when pretense was no longer necessary. That day had arrived. Captain Sarah Chen, rescued from the Council Station by human special forces, stood beside Admiral Torres as they watched the last alien survivors being taken prisoner. "Was this always the plan?" she asked. Torres nodded. "From the moment we met our first alien, we knew this day might come. We hoped it wouldn't. We tried everything we could to avoid it, but we were prepared. And now? Now the galaxy learns to live with us as we really are. Some species will choose friendship. Others will choose resistance. Both choices will have consequences." As Earth's sun set over the command center, humanity looked out at a galaxy that would never underestimate them again.